So anyway, like most of you, I used to be a nun. It still comes back to haunt me. It's been 10 years. 10 years this August. It'll be since I was a nun. 10 years I've lived in Philadelphia. But still, my sordid past comes back to haunt me. Yeah, like just last week, okay, I finally got this woman that I met snowboarding. So it was like a year ago. I finally got her into bed. And the next morning, she was brushing her teeth. There was the next morning because we're lesbians. And she said, "Did you know you say the Hail Mary in your sleep?" And I was like, no, I don't suppose by any chance you consider that sexy. And she didn't answer, which I'm thinking probably meant no. Anyway, I got kicked out. A lot of times when I do this in straight clubs and they're like, I can just see the long look, like they're looking at me. I'm like, oh, I used to be a nun. They're like, yeah, whatever, Sister Mary Boldyke. But I did honestly used to be a nun. I got kicked out for having too much self-esteem. Which is a termination notice you're only going to get from the convent, right? I'm not going to go to work on Monday. They're going to be like, Kelly, I'm sorry, we're going to have to let you go. You just have too much self-esteem. You feel good about yourself and your abilities and, makes you an effective employee. And frankly, that's just not working out for us. The other complaint the nuns had was that I walked like my shoulders were angry. I'm glad you get that. Because that was really like the nun saying, yeah, whatever, Sister Mary Boldyke. Too butch for a bunch of nuns. Go figure. So the whole time in the convent, it was like one of those things where I felt like I was on a quiz show and everyone else knew the answers in advance but me. Like we'd be cleaning and I'd think I was done, but apparently there was still a lot of invisible dirt that I wasn't aware of. So then we'd finish cleaning the invisible dirt, which is really hard to know when you're done cleaning the invisible dirt, because you're like, yeah, sister, this is really dirty, isn't it? And then my mistress, and mistress is exactly the right term, she'd be like, now, Sister Mercy, that was my name when I was in the convent, Sister Mercy, what does it remind us of when things are so neat and orderly? And it reminded me of obsessive-compulsive disorder. But it turns out the right answer was God. If you're ever on that quiz show, the Who Wants to Be a Living Saint quiz show, let me just give you a little hint on, you can just kind of rotate these answers. God, Jesus, Blessed Mother, and because I suck as a human being. You rotate those 4 answers, you're going to be fine. You won't need your lifeline. When I tell all these stories, people are like, well, what were you doing? Why did you join the convent? What were you thinking? And I have to say, the convent felt like home to me. But if you're from a crazy alcoholic family and you haven't had much therapy, just a little tip, but don't make a major life decision because it feels like home to you. That's just a little tip. That may not be great comedy, but it's really good advice. I should have known that, right? I should have known that. So pre-spirancy, just supposed to be a month long. I was there for a year and a half, which is the convent equivalent of failing preschool 18 times. But I stayed because we had like these moments of like complete beauty. The day after Easter, which we called MC Easter because we worked on actual Easter, we all went to Long Island to a retreat center to kind of have a picnic. And one of my group sisters, Sister Carmel, found a basketball somewhere and she's bouncing it around trying to get the nuns together for a pickup game. And I thought, they're never going to go for this. But let me tell you, nuns on the basketball court transformed into women who run with the fucking wolves. So there was Sister Bernard. She was, at the time, the oldest living member of the Missionaries of Charity. And she's like, oh, I don't know, maybe I could play. And when I went to take a jump shot, she jumped up in the air, bashed the ball back into my face, grazed my palm so that I was bleeding everywhere. Then she started screaming, Sister, you have the stigmata! Then there was Sister Maria Juanita, who said, well, I don't know, it's beautiful to try. So as Sister Carmel was attempting to throw me a bounce pass, Sister Marie Juanita grabbed the ball, dribbled it behind her back, and made a 3-point shot. I said, I thought you hadn't played basketball before. And she said, maybe a little. Then, Sister Bernard, in a reappearance, was running down the court trying to make a layup. One of the sisters stepped on the end of her habit. She continued toward the basket until her habit was completely unraveled, sunk the shot, and when everyone was like, sister, she's like, what? I made the basket, didn't I? And the next day I wrote my home letter and I said, well, nuns play basketball the way they do everything, with their whole heart.